In the previous videos, we talked about how to discern between your inner guidance and your inner critic. We shared how you can communicate with your intuition and also explored the different languages your intuition uses to communicate with you. As always, don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions in the comment section below or if you have any video requests as well. But for now, let's learn about how to set the stage to communicate with our intuition. There are many ways you can develop your inner trust, but they all have one thing in common. They all play a role in disengaging the egoic mind. In fact, most of them are designed to establish a harmonious connection between the physical yang and the intuitive yin. So let's start with the most common way to develop your inner trust, and that is through meditation. Set aside some time every day when you can sit down with your thoughts and do nothing but observe them. This is commonly referred to as meditation. The term alludes to a wide variety of practices designed to promote relaxation, build awareness, improve our attention, increase our sense of well-being, and cultivate loving kindness. Our brains possess an intrinsic property of plasticity, which means any meditative practice can induce cognitive flexibility and reappraisal, which is the ability to reframe our experience. So depending on the type of guidance you seek, here are some of the most common practices you can use to begin building your inner trust. First, we have the body scan meditation. This is a form of progressive relaxation that we mentioned in the previous video as the first step to connecting with your intuition. So feel free to download our guide if you want to give that a try. Body scan meditation encourages you to drop into your body so you can build awareness around your somatic responses. By scanning the body for areas of stress, you can get more attuned to how it feels to be in your physical body and also learn to release tension. If you find yourself a bit stuck in your head and being challenged by feelings of frustration, anger, resentment, anxiety, or any form of internal conflict, you may want to experiment with metta meditation. This loving kindness practice aims to cultivate gratitude, compassion, and love towards yourself and others. Compassion here is key because without a shared understanding of the human condition, we will find ourselves disconnected from our own worth. So if you want to learn more about it, please check this video's description to find the links for the video on the compassion topic and a metta meditation we have created for you to get started. Finally, we encourage you to experiment with mindful meditation if you want to improve your focus attention, build self-awareness, and reduce negative self-talk. This form of meditation is the most conscious way of interacting with and perceiving reality and can be done anywhere and anytime. While walking, eating, dancing, singing, doing the dishes, brushing your teeth, you choose. Mindful meditation can provide insight into your emotions, your thoughts, and reactions. This insight is gained not through conflict, but through holding a compassionate space to cultivate an open and non-judgmental attitude of acceptance. This is what enables you to become more thoughtful and deliberate, rather than reactive in your interactions with others, and taking responsibility for being yourself and learning to listen and trust your own being. For instance, in conscious breathing, you can use your breath as an anchor to the present moment. So become aware of it first. Then notice the thoughts, the judgments, the mental images, and emotions that appear. Sit with them in a non-judgmental manner, and whenever you find yourself caught up in a story, bring your focus back to your breath, back to your body. When you do this enough times, you'll start noticing how your mind wanders, what your thinking patterns are, and you can begin discerning what is your intuition and what is your inner critic. Meditation offers us a different way of relating to reality than the one we're often accustomed to, which is the deep discontentment the mind wants us to focus on. The stillness you find in meditation allows you to experience deep contentment, ananda or bliss for us Westerners. The death of the ego while we're alive, dying so we can be more alive. And when you practice enough times, you get familiar with that stillness. You get familiar with that feeling state, so it gets easier to come back to it. You will want to come back to it because of how it makes you feel. This feeling is a state of coherence, also known as being in the zone or flow state. Our current society sees effort such as working hard or struggling as a virtue. This idea perpetuates the belief that nothing valuable can ever come to us naturally. However, if you pay close attention to the things you are really passionate about, they tend to be things that you excel at. Things that excite you and motivate you to learn more about it. These passions are often what allows you to experience a flow state. Much like meditation, flow state is an altered state of consciousness where every decision we make seems to flow effortlessly and seamlessly. Your attention hones in to what you're doing to such a degree that everything else seems to disappear. A flow state is also referred to as a channel state because you often hear your inner voice more clearly. It's very quick and discerning in its communication, so you won't be thrown off balance by fear, worry, or any emotion or feeling unless you don't follow its guidance. The moment you question your inner voice is the moment you break the flow and crash. So the trick here is to intentionally decide on what task you are going to focus on, to the degree that the challenge of the task slightly exceeds your skill set. Flow states are very useful to drive performance, particularly in sports and corporate environments. But they are also valuable tools to build trust in that inner voice, while focusing our attention on manipulating or interacting with the outer world. To drop into flow, you must get comfortable being uncomfortable. Not in the way that it impairs your ability to learn, but enough to create the tension necessary to keep you engaged. You also need to get familiar with your flow triggers. These are the preconditions that, when met, will allow your attention to focus solely on the present moment, which is the task at hand. Things like knowing your physiology. At what time of the day are you most productive? Are you an early bird or a night owl? When do you feel most energized? Another flow trigger is to know your environment. Know when you find stillness in your day for absolute concentration, and practice distraction management, where you deliberately turn off all of your notifications so you free your mind for uninterrupted focus. And the last flow trigger is to know your inner drive. This is usually a combination of movement, memory, and attention. What are you inspired to create? What are you learning as you do it? This is the challenge skill set ratio we mentioned before. And how does it make you feel when you do it? This intrinsic motivation is usually sparked by novelty, complexity, and curiosity. When you are passionate about something, you check all of these boxes. When you have a purpose, you check all of these boxes. When you search for mastery, you check all of these boxes. All of what these boxes are the vehicles through which your essence is made manifest into this world, to be a force that supports your individual evolution and, consequently, the evolution of our collective consciousness. This can be something as simple as any hobby, such as painting, cooking, gardening, playing guitar. Flow is not a state of happiness, but more of a loss of our sense of self. Any moment that you are in the flow, you are teaching your egoic mind to take a step back and enjoy the ride. Because you are so focused on the task at hand, there's no space for distracting thoughts or feelings, including feelings of happiness. However, the ego's voice, which is your inner critic's voice, can be very loud sometimes. It has the same strength as your ego's desire to keep you alive. But there's a self-inducing state that ceases all ego's activity, and that is the last way you can go about developing your inner trust. We call it the dream state. Dreams are the first awareness of our inner states. They represent a window to the most yin aspects of ourselves, our subconscious mind. There's a semiotic or symbolic component to our dreams, which is why they're oftentimes difficult to comprehend. The symbols it uses are drawn from a vast library of non-local information stored in our subconscious and unconscious minds. Remember that our brain is a limited machine and it does not have the bandwidth to process the vast amount of information it receives, so it simplifies reality to help us make the next decision. And the information that is not able to process gets stored in our subconscious. When we go to sleep, our ego's function, which is to ensure our identity, self-concept, and livelihood, goes offline, as we give our physical body the opportunity to rest and rejuvenate. This means that all of our energy can be directed at organizing the information collected by our subconscious. Our subconscious is a valuable container for self-realization, and as such, it does not embed any experience with meaning. When we dream, we get to investigate this container through holographic symbols or hallucinations. These representations are usually raw and devoid of our ego's logic filter, which explains why you might not be able to make sense of them once you wake up. In fact, the more upsetting or frightening your dreams seem to you, the faster you activate your ego, which jolts your body into a waking state. And that's not fun. Everything you do in your waking state can influence your dreams. This includes the foods you consume, the entertainment you watch, I'm looking at you horror movies, your health condition, your daily activities, and even the power of your intention right before you fall asleep, during what it's called the hypnagogic state. During this state, some of us might set the intention to get clarity about something in our lives, while others may intend to remember their dreams the next day. The challenge for our conscious mind is that even if we do remember our dreams, most of the time we cannot make sense of them. And that's because our intuition usually doesn't speak the same language. So feel free to record the dream you had last night, as this will surely help you understand the content of your subconscious mind. We even encourage you to embark on a lucid dream journey so you can experiment with your multidimensionality. But remember that the best thing you can do when you wake up is not to rationalize your dreams, but to focus on how you feel when you awake from those states. How meaning is created and how it's communicated is the semiotics that shape your feelings, so get used to seeing your dreams as messengers of the things you are unwilling or unable because of your ego's grip to process in your waking state, but that you are open to process in your dream state. I'll give you my example. Sadness is not a feeling that I experience often, but as an immigrant, I'm aware that there's some nostalgia or saudade that I'm not giving myself the space to process willingly. So sometimes I wake up from dreams that are hard to recall all the details, but the one thing that sticks out is how I feel, which is usually very deflated. On those days, I remind myself of the impermanence of things, that this feeling will pass, so I don't have to spin stories about it. And in the meantime, I can practice self-compassion, slow down my day, and reach out to my family and friends for solace instead of burying myself in my work, which is usually what I used to do. I cannot tell you how much this mental attitude has changed my life. Dreaming was the thing that did it for me. I never realized that in running away from my emotions, I was actually abandoning myself. I was running away from feeling myself and all of my inner experiences. Exploring my inner world, the feminine yin aspect of myself, made me see that not only is our state of being the organizing principle for our experiences in this life, but to be able to somatize our emotions and feelings in a physical body is one of the rarest and most prized opportunities in the realms of existence. How we feel about things guides every decision that we make. It's not logic, it's our emotions that are behind our choices. This is why building bridges to understand our inner worlds is the key to nurturing self-love. To be open and vulnerable with ourselves and others, to understand our needs and boundaries, to get back into our bodies and spend less time in our minds, and to get familiar with how our intuition speaks to us. All of these tools are fundamental to build your self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-trust. And yet, none of them can be used without exploring your feelings and learning about the role they play in your current story. What we think influences how we feel, and how we feel organizes the major themes of exploration that will become available for us to act on. That is the reason why, as the last chapter of our emotional well-being series, we're bringing you full circle with a step-by-step guide to assist you in navigating your emotional spiral, so you can learn to understand yourself better, let go of your coping mechanisms, and begin building emotional resilience on your path to self-mastery. We're going to look into all the feelings we're most afraid to feel, our emotional kryptonite. Identifying your own personal emotional kryptonite is important because much of our unhappiness Bad decisions and ill-advised behaviors are actually the result of trying to avoid particularly uncomfortable emotions and feelings. We're talking anger, grief, anxiety, worry, depression, stress, shame, boredom, jealousy, loneliness, blame, and a few others. We'll explore what triggers these emotionally charged narratives, specifically how they manifest in our mental, emotional, and physical bodies. And in this process, we'll not only expand your emotional vocabulary, but most importantly, you'll learn to approach your emotional states with curiosity and respond with equanimity. Are you ready to embark on this journey with me?